Next, we're going to be on another insightful topic on biotech innovations. Next, let's welcome on stage Dr. Ricky Chu, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Face Scientific International Limited, to share about diagnostic innovation. Please welcome Dr. Chu.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for Invest Hong Kong for the invitation for this opportunity. And very happy to share with you about our insights in the upcoming trend in diagnostic area in healthcare, as well as some exciting direction that our company is moving forward into in a post-COVID situation. So, for the longest time, when we think of healthcare, we think of doctors, we think of the therapy. But however, diagnostic has always been a strong pillar in the whole ecosystem of healthcare, but it has always been undermined. But I think as the COVID pandemic happens, everyone in this world recognized the importance of proper diagnostics. And because of that, there was a huge acceleration in the advance of diagnostic coming up in the post-COVID world. But what are the trends that are moving on into the diagnostic area? Of course, the diagnostic area could be a very broad area, but I'm focusing specifically in vitro diagnostics for the detections of different conditions such as infectious diseases and maybe cancers and maybe other conditions in the body. But what would be a better diagnostic or diagnostic 2.0, if you will? First, overall theme, it has to be decentralized and it has to be not doctor-centric, but more likely to be patient-centric, right? Right now, every time in the morning, if you wake up, you got a fever, what do, right? The first thing you may think of is go see a doctor. But as you know, doctors are very busy, right? And it is not easy to find a doctor. And even when you go see a doctor, of course, the best case scenario, they can give you, the most accurate diagnosis and then, give you the treatment. However, the tools that the doctor use, to my humble opinion, could do a lot better. So in this case, one of the most important upcoming trend is the abundant testing and real-time data. How readily available can the test be provided to every single population in the world so that whenever they have something going on, they have access to testing, okay? And I think the perfect example of COVID is the huge demand for RAT, right, the rapid antigen test. I don't know how many people know RAT are basically the same technology as a pregnancy test, which has been exist in this world for over 40 years, okay? And for the longest time, this technology, which is scientifically called lateral flow immunoassay, has only been very useful in pregnancy tests, but never on any other application. The reason, of course, is because its accuracy, and because most in the medical community would frown upon a simple test like this, because as a diagnostic, you're supposed to be accurate, right? And that's why if you go to see a doctor, they would very much prefer, say, a PCR test. But when pandemic happens, during the Hong Kong fifth wave, what happened, right? We understand fully that, while PCR is the gold standard, there's only limited capacity of how much PCR that we can do in a city every single day. But however, the disease are spreading in a much faster pace. How can we have proper public healthcare policy to stop the flow, slow the flow, or even trying to limit the diseases? It's about accessibility and how affordable it is. So if you look at all the advantage here, then you would see that, abundant, accessible, affordable, this all fit the profile of an RAT. But what's going on? What can we do better by moving on into, say, RAT 2.0? You want it to be connected, because right now, as you know, if you go to a restaurant, you need to show an RAT. God knows you do that by yourself. God knows when you actually do that. How can we limit the shortcomings of the current RET. Something that can be done, for example, if the RETs can be connected, if it can be integrated to a bigger system, then, and maybe there are other measures so that we can encourage the user to do the test properly or legitimately, right? So this would be the connectivity that can help fix the problem. And what if you got a positive result, right? Right now, if you got a positive result, you don't have anybody. That's most of the case that I know of. And you just wait it out, right? But what if this is something more serious? What if a simple RET can tell you might have some serious condition? The next step you want to go see a doctor, for sure, right? But what if the doctor are not as accessible? What if you have trouble finding a doctor, or even in COVID cases, you have some serious symptom, but you are not allowed to leave your home, right? So if there is a comprehensive and a seamless experience from the patient point of view, that you can be self-diagnosing your condition and also connected to some kind of doctor consultation, or maybe even including a treatment, right? And I think during the COVID pandemic, a lot of people may have experienced this, that the advent of telemedicine has also been promoted, where the patient can simply stay at home and do a FaceTime with the doctors, and treatment can come to your door by delivery. So we are starting to see some kind of early trend of what this is about to come. And I think the last part is personalized, right? Everyone's condition is a little bit different. Everyone's initial condition is a little bit different. That may have an impact to providing an accurate diagnostic assessment. So how can we personalize into an individual situation to provide the best outcome as possible? So ultimately, what my vision and what I think ultimately in the healthcare system is to including this element on top of what we are doing today. First is early screening, right? Think cancer. Cancer is always been a lethal disease because it's not being lack of treatment. There are a lot of treatment, there are a lot of therapy that are constantly being developed, but the thing is, usually when you go see a doctor, especially when you start to take the treatment, it's usually too late. So if there are early screening potentials that could really change cancer, maybe not thinking about curing, but maybe someday it can become like a diabetes, like a slow disease that you can manage. Regular diagnostics. How often can you do a test to monitor your current situation? And this is completely your own freedom to take care of your own health. You can decide not to do anything, or you can, at least there are options to provide it, that you can decide to monitor your own body condition as frequent as you want. The third part is about immediate treatment. Okay, I'm not talking about cancer here. I think the day that you can just take a pill and cure cancer would happen someday, but then not in my lifetime. But when you think about, you have some infectious diseases, when you go see a doctor, very unlikely cases that the doctor can give you some treatment and you don't need to go see the doctor again. Those are really like the colds and other, condition. But most of the cases, you might need to go see the doctor over and over again. Or maybe the doctor would say, hey, I need to send the sample to a lab. Why don't I call you back later today, or I'll call you back next week, or why don't you come back next week, I will show you the results. What if the result can happen in real time during your visit? Then you can enable something called the test and treat, meaning that when you go see the doctor do the test immediately, and in the same appointment, they can give you the accurate assessment and the treatment, so that that minimize the turnaround time and minimize the doctor's face time with the patient, meaning the doctors can be more efficient. And lastly, it's about constant monitoring. What if you have a cancer and you undergo some kind of treatment? Right now, we don't have a very good monitoring procedure, besides come back every 6 months, every 1 year to see if your tumor shrinks or get larger, and you may have to do some adjustment to your treatment. But how much time does the cancer patient have to, every 6 months and 12 months for assessment? If there are ways that we can do constant monitoring of the situation, then the doctor may have a lot more tools to make more rapid adjustment to the course of the disease, and hence improve the outcomes of the diseases. So back to the pandemic, I think everyone in this room have used an RET one way or the other, and has appreciated how simple and how fast and how cheap this test has to offer, and to fulfill, to give you a peace of mind. And I think that is exactly my vision when I start the RET research in Hong Kong. So a little bit of my background. My team in California has invented the world's first saliva-based drug abuse test back in 2005. So I'm no stranger to rapid test. But the thing is, I truly understand the limitation of such elegant device, which is its accuracy is lacking. So when COVID happened in year 2020, in the very beginning months, I have been working very diligently with my team to investigate how we can improve the accuracy of rapid tests that is specifically for COVID, and we succeed. However, to indicate that we have been using under the brand of Hong Kong that has been sold worldwide, right now, only have maybe less than 10% of my core technology. I'm going to explain my core technology in a second. And the reason is simply because we don't have enough time to find the right container to house the secret sauce of my technology that can allow another 5 to 10 times improvement of the COVID rapid test. But the 2.0 is in our pipeline, is coming out very soon. But I do believe that the COVID story is the perfect example of how diagnostic could change the world and could help and contribute in a pandemic situation, and how a small company like us, originate from Hong Kong, can be the only startup company in the US FDA approved list for the COVID rapid antigen test. So this is something Joshua has also mentioned, but of course we are talking about a different domain. When you're talking about an infectious disease, right now telemedicine is not being fully realized. The most successful telemedicine cases is all about skincare, where the doctors can look at your skin and give you a true assessment, almost as good as seeing you face to face. However, if you do have a fever, if you do have a stomachache, you want to see what's going on, very much likely you have to go see a doctor. I do believe one of the strongest missing piece is a diagnostic that you can self-perform with enough accuracy that doctor can rely on. That, I think, that would be the missing piece of realizing telemedicine, at least in infectious diseases. And that's why during the pandemic, we have fulfilled the entire circle using our own application. Our own application is contain a couple components. One of the components address specifically the fraud or the incorrect collection of samples by having a camera looking at how you do the test properly, which is AI guided. And at the same time, we can use our cell phone camera to take the pictures of your test result. And our AI has done better than naked eyes. Meaning, if you go to an online group, you would see tons of RET pictures asking whether my test is positive or not. Okay? Our AI is able to use any kind of existing cell phone cameras and get better than naked eye results, real time. And more than that, it connects to our doctor platforms, where if your result is being positive, we have doctors available that can provide online consultations. And of course, in a COVID case, which is a lot more simple and approved by the government, that a treatment can be handed to the patient directly. Of course, there are a lot of regulations, there are a lot of hurdles, there may be a lot of red tape to really make telemedicine to be a popular or even a viable option. But I'm very hopeful that with enough hardware and software and enough applications and education, this would be the future that we're looking into. So going specific a little bit more about our company really pride on our core technology, which was developed by myself at UCLA back in 2015. What we really have is what we call Facify, which is a sample preparation technologies. And this is specifically to be applied to different kinds of diagnostic. And that's why our core technology can be applied to something as simple as an RET, we can apply to PCR, we can apply to liquid biopsy for cancer detection. What this technology really is, what does it mean by sample preparation, is now is the perfect case to explain this, because now everyone has a chance to do the PCR, right? Imagine you do a PCR, you do your swab, and if you see what the nurse doing, they put that into some kind of liquid, right? This liquid would get transferred to the lab where they would do the so-called PCR protocol. what they do is, based on that liquid, they would take a few drops and they're trying to extract the RNA that might exist in that 2 drops. And after they process that, they got 1/10 of the drops of the liquid, they would go into the PCR. So what that means is actually less than 1% of the material that are being collected in your nose would go to the detection machine to get you the result. So in the COVID case, this is perfectly fine, because if you do have COVID, no matter how small in your body, PCR is good enough to detect that. But what about if you want to do cancer diagnostic? What about you want to improve the accuracy, which is really the Achilles heels of RATs? What my technology is able to do is to concentrate the sample that you've been collected and get all the essence into the testing module. Think of the RAT. Ideally, you only add 3 drops to 4 drops of the liquid to run the test strips. That's the maximum volume that the test strip can accept. What if I have a urine test that in the morning I can basically pee a cup of urine? You're only able to put a few drops of those urine into the test, which is exactly what pregnancy test is doing. Of course, pregnancy test is accurate enough because for any pregnant woman, you got tons of HCG proteins in the urine, so even a very simple test strip would do. But you wanted to have a more clinical relevancy of such a rapid test, then what our technology can do is, without any training, without equipment, without any power, I have the ability to shrink that cup of urine into the few drop of urine that every essence or every biomarker that you want to detect can be enter the simple test strips. And this is exactly the technology that our company processed and able to develop better and more accurate and a faster diagnostic moving on into the future. And the same methodology has been used in the very early days of COVID. In fact, with the authorization of the Ministry of Science and Technology in China, we are able to develop our system, RNA extraction platform, that provide 10 to 50 times more RNA to improve the accuracy of PCR. And in fact, our RNA extraction technology is the only Asian company that are being recommended on the US FDA website. However, right now we are performing PCR to Hong Kong citizens in the orders of millions. We are not able to use this technology ourselves because this is the first generation. Although it can do a lot better in accuracy, what we lack at this moment is the speed, the throughput, and the cost, right? So as one point I'm trying to make is, while we are pushing for innovation, when it goes to commercialization and true real-world application, there might be some bigger gap than everyone think in order to make this realize, and even for ourselves that are pride in developing new technologies. So this is my last slide. I do want to touch upon about our technology in the applications of cancer detections. In the realm of liquid biopsy, which of course we have Professor Dennis Low, which is the godfather of NIPTs in Hong Kong and invent the entire methodology. But it was the same person, Professor Dennis Low, back in 2017, that has inspired me that my technology not only can be applied in the realm of RAT, but can also be applied in liquid biopsy field. Because he told me that, hey, if the fetus is really small in mother's body, then the fetal DNA, meaning the fragment that can indicative of the baby's body conditions, simply by drawing mom's blood, when the baby is too small, then the amount of this DNA fragment in mom's bloodstream is extremely scary. So, and the whole point of NIPT is trying to detect any anomalies as early as possible. Same thing goes for cancer. Right now, cancer is scary because we discover them very late. What if we can find cancer out in stage 1 and stage 2? But then on the flip side, when your tumor is so small, meaning that there are so little information in your blood that can be collected and to give you an accurate result. My technology exactly trying to address that by getting as many of the information, the key information that the evidence of whether that person have a cancer or not, and able to concentrate them, extract them all, and to be applied for currently already existing very advanced sequencing technologies and AI technologies. That give us a lot of potential and a lot of confidence moving forward into our future that our core technology can make a big difference in realizing the better diagnostic. So this concludes my discussion for today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chu. Thank you. Those are really game changers. Thank you so much. Next, we would like to invite our speaker on stage, and he is Mr. Stanley Si, Chairman of Hong Kong Regen MedTech Limited. Please welcome Mr. Si, and he's going to talk about PICS GMP stem cell manufacturing. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Si.
Okay, I would say good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Yeah. So today, my topic is biotech innovation, but very honestly, as a GMP manufacturing, there is no any innovation there indeed, because we are just building some factory to build it. But before I start about my journey about my company, Hong Kong Regen MedTech, which is focusing on stem cell therapy, which is focusing on building a GMP factory, I would like to share my journey to why I would like to start it. So before I start, I just want to say, any person here in this room from DOH? Oh, glad. I'm so glad that no one here. Yeah. Okay, one of my reasons why I would like to start this kind of what we call a very tough task is that actually my full biotech experience that again, today we have one of my previous employer, Dr. Chiu, and actually I experienced a lot of different segments of biotech, the drugs, the diagnostic, the robotics, the AI, telemedicine, yeah. So after I experienced all this kind of segment, I always think one question in my mind: why we can't have some innovation drug in Hong Kong? We have a lot of good scholars here, right? As Ricky just mentioned, we have Dennis Low. Also, we have a lot of vaccine experts in Hong Kong, right? But why? Why we can't, right? But actually, indeed, after I start this question, I try to do some research. Indeed, we do have some pharmaceutical company here in Hong Kong, but I would say classify them as a traditional one, like some paracetamol or some generic drug, right? But it seems that we never had some biologic pharmaceutical company, or we have some innovation drug company in here. So I keep asking some experts in here. I know some of them here, you're already the expert of medicine and pharmaceutical industry. And after a round of research, I find that, wow, it seems that we still, in Hong Kong, indeed, we have a lot of people with the same question as me, why we can't have this kind of advanced therapy. And finally, they would answer the same, I think all of you with the same expected answer is that about DOH, right? They would say that, wow, they have restriction, blah, 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 blah. But to me, I must say that actually I'm not an innovator, but I would say I'm a troubleshooter. I spent several years to talk with, to understand the operating of DOH. To be honest, 5 years before, I totally not understood. I think I would say just keep complaining. Why you can't do that? Why you can't do that, right? Why you can't just do like Singapore, China, blah, blah, blah. But after all, I know that what they're doing is so important to Hong Kong because they are the gatekeeper. They're the only one gatekeeper to us to save up all the patients, all the doctors here, to use all the medical device and drug. And finally, I can see the beauty for them. So by that time, I have one mission to me. Okay, I have to be the first person to tackle that. I want to build the first innovative pharmaceutical company in here. But of course, by that time, we don't have PECs. We don't have ATP law, right? So what I can do, okay, just do other things first, right? So I start my company like telemedicine, robotics, screening, wait. But it's okay, I do gain a lot of experience for that. But seems, I think life is so good. I think always in Chinese we have a word, right? 大任於大任將講咩咧？大任講於意思係必須勞其筋骨，餓其體膚。I think it really makes sense because by that time, I really learned a lot. The different stakeholders, their play, their value, and their expectation. So since the last year, DOH finally announced they allow the advanced therapy in Hong Kong. That made me the right time, the right moment to do that. But of course, my parents, my family say the same sentence. It's even my life. I always heard that high tech, high year, low tech, low year. Yeah, to be honest, it's very tough. We spend a lot or more than like several million USD dollar to build it in just a feasibility study. It totally doesn't make sense. All the investors say, Stanley, how come you make something bad, right? You cannot drain the cash flow. But I say that, well, I think in the world, I will ask my investor, do you love John Lennon, right? I think all of you love John Lennon, right? The one song, Imagine, right? In the world, there always must be some dreamer here. Without dreamer, without innovator, we cannot change the longevity. We cannot change the quality of life of human. So I keep doing that. Even my colleague here, they will complain, hey, Stanley, are you sure that you have the cash to generate the salary? Oh, I don't know, but I just try. even me, I quit my job, and I don't get any pay from any company, right? My wife also complained that, right? Yeah. Okay. After finally, we have the very clear cut aim. We want to build a manufacturing, right? The second thing, what kind of drug we want to do? It's very tough, right? Maybe you will say, hey, Stanley, you have to do the mRNA vaccine. To be honest, I met Moderna representative in Hong Kong. I met the Biotech. But I said that, to be honest, I don't have such capability to do that, right? I know I'm not a PhD, I'm not a professor, right? I say the same sentence in the last lecture invited by Professor Chiu. I'm just a liaison. Okay, I cannot create my technology. But as a good liaison, or as a good entrepreneur, we have to find the right insight for the gap. Or simply to say, we have to arbitrate, right? In Hong Kong, all of you love arbitrate, right? In stock market, whatever. So I start to explore the whole world. And I'm so glad that because I love Japan. I think all of you love Japan as well. I just finished because we just have a new policy that we can go out. So you can see all the tickets, very expensive, right? And after several years, I find that, wow, it's so interesting. Stem cell therapy. In Hong Kong, I would say when I mention stem cell, all of you will think two words, notorious, fake, right? We have DR event, remember, right? Some people, some patients, unfortunately, they die due to the event issue. And you have seen a huge million product. They mentioned that they are stem cell product for facial, blah, 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 blah. But it seems it's a kind of a marketing, right? At the very beginning, I thought the same. But when I spent time there, I seems that, wow, it's amazing. First of all, the Nobel Prize owner of stem cell is Japan. In Japan, they have a special regulator, 在生醫療法例 in Japan. And all the people there, they recognize the stem cell product. I say, how come? If this is fake, it's something bad. Why all the people, or I would say most of the people in Japan, especially Tokyo, they seem to get used to this technology, and they pay a lot of money to do that. And then I tried to ask some expert in Hong Kong. They would say, well, it's very hard to quantify, to clarify. For example, the ingredient, the composition. And then I asked the same question. How about Chinese medicine, the TCM? It's quite similar, right? Okay, we cannot have absolute quantification for TCM, but you can still a huge market there and huge demand there. So that made me think that, okay, the first thing, I want to build local pharmaceutical company. Second thing, I bridge the gap for stem cell therapy. That makes sense, right? At the very beginning, I told myself it makes sense, and I told my colleagues. They say that, wow, you sure? You have only last chance to gamble because, high risk, high tech, high year, right? I said, I got nothing, right? Why not try? And finally, it took around 16 months, and due to the COVID-19, we got the approval in principle from WeChat. Then we become in Hong Kong the first commercial company to get the approval for WeChat to focus stem cell therapy. And here is Hong Kong Region MedTech. So what we want to do is that, interesting. What we want to do that, okay, we want to establish a state-of-the-art stem cell therapy in Asia, not just in Hong Kong. We can see a huge potential market here. We can see a good technology, good state-of-the-art technique in Japan. What I want to do again, I'm an arbitrage bridger. I will bridge all technology from Japan to Hong Kong. That's why I've signed an agreement with a subsidiary from Roto Pharmaceutical Company, BMS, not the Europe BMS, but Japan BMS. We got the technology transfer We got the whole thing from Japan to Hong Kong. And that allowed Invest Hong Kong, right? we use technology in Hong Kong. And second thing, we want to build the standard on the whole Asia. We have a good doctor. We have a lot of patient demand. We have a very decent protocol. I do believe after maybe 5 or 10 years, when we finish the manufacturing, we can become the first demonstration in Hong Kong and to radiate the whole Pan-Asia. We become the first leader. Just like what our country president said, we become the international innovative center. And I do believe we can become a standard, and we can let other countries follow. And simply to say, stem cell is not, honestly, there's not very innovative thing. And actually, there's something inside your body. We just take some tissue, some fat tissue from your belly, and then we regenerate that, and then we culture that, right? Similar to the CAR T thing. I'm still glad that recently CAR T is very popular, so that I can save a lot of time to explain what kind of advanced therapy is cell therapy. But the benefit of stem cell compared to CAR T or iPSC is safe, well-proved. And it seems that a lot of regulatory approved this kind of technology application, not just in Japan, but also in Korea, in US. Of course, some country, for example, Vietnam or Malaysia, they claim that they have some kind of stem cell therapy. Of course, they are not in favor regulated. But I don't want to say, actually more and more countries, they want to regulate this, even in China. So what is PEX GMP, right? I would say that this is a kind of a very expensive protocol. We had to spend tons of money, time, and people to do a lot of documents. To me, PEX GMP just means a pile of documents. But that makes the thing very important. Just imagine, when you got for example, when you have an RAT, right? We still have a GMP qualifies, ISO standard qualifies. We want to make sure the product to distribute to every patient is same, high quality, right? But for diagnostic, it's still good, right? Because it's an ex vivo product, right? But just imagine when you something taken in my mouth, right? For the food, for the pills, you'll be more attention, be more cautious. And now I tell you something, inject through the IV administrative method, you'll become more nervous, right? So at the very beginning, I would say that that's a very tedious thing. But after 1 year, I think that that is so important for us to build a reputation, to get the recognition from the patient and all the regulated body. But of course, it's very expensive. For example, you have to take time, for example, risk management, the inventory management, the contamination protocol, the management team review, and even under the GMP PEX, it's very ridiculous. For every year, we just have 12 months, right? But we have to spend 2 months for the inspection. That means that for every year, we just have 10 months to work out the business. But to me, it's important. Again, we want to get the recognition, confidence from the patient. We don't want to repeat some unfortunate event before in Hong Kong, right? Although it sounds like a very simple thing, just take something cell in your body, and then we just do culture, and then we transplant to you for the blood. It sounds like very easy, but even just a little bit hiccup, it will cause someone to die. So we don't want to repeat this. We're so glad that Hong Kong become one of the recognized members for PEX GMP. And we are so glad that they'll that to try to fight for that, to upgrade Hong Kong standard to this. So that why make us in Hong Kong, we have a very unique characteristic, become the lead of the Asia, even in China, even compared to China. China just finished become member in ICH 2 years before. And this year, they plan to apply to become a member in GMP. So we are still leading them. We are still leader compared to China, right? And as we know, we have a GBA development, right? So to be honest, in the whole GBA, they focus on the digital market, digital commerce, digital event. But healthcare is still a little left behind compared to other regions. And in around all the 11 cities in the GBA, Hong Kong is the best for the healthcare and the biotech. We have a good doctor, scientist, patient, etc. And here is so that why Hong Kong is the best. So first of all, why currently is the best timing to do that. So first of all, we have seen a lot of EMA, FDA approval, even the KFDA, blah, blah, blah. And importantly, 2020, we got the advanced therapy regulator, approval for the regulation for ATP. And now we do have see a lot of ATP person in the list. That means something that in progress. And we are so glad that DOH is so pay a lot of effort to push it, to let that become a comprehensive solution. I would say that 見步行步 is current situation, but this is necessary because something very new to Hong Kong. And we are picked, and of course we have to say thanks for the Hong Kong STP because they push it. They have ITL department, they allocate a lot of space for us to do the manufacturing, and then this is our partner for the build the BMS. And I'm so glad that my team, we have a lot of good patent to do this thing. But of course, again, I'm not a scientist, right? So what our patent is mentioning is that we focus on the 工藝, the skills of the manufacturing. How we can make sure there's 100% no any contamination. How we can make sure the yield rate is very high. How can we make sure the cost is very low? That is our competence. And I'm so glad that so far, Hong Kong the Prince Royal Hospital, Queen Mary Hospital, they're our collaborator. I'm so glad that it's still that, we are not the only one. The second lyric from the John Lennon, right? I'm the dreamer, and I'm not the only one. You can see that CHK and Hong Kong they pay a lot of effort in stem cell therapy. For example, especially for CHK. So I say again, I love CHK and SHT. Yeah, because our principal, Professor Rocky Tutong, he is also the expert of stem cell therapy, and he provoked the stem cell development in Hong Kong as well. And CTU, the reason because they have West School, right? We treat that as an animal study, animal experiment. But I'm so glad that they are so confident to do that, to use this technology for their pet as well. So that we keep moving fast in this just 1 year. We have a lot of, for example, we have IRB, we have clinical study, we have clinical trial, blah, blah, blah. I'm so glad that I'm not the only one. And of course, you can see that we already have our manufacturing site. I'm so glad that Hong Kong STP has allocated this kind of site, and without the site, we cannot apply the AIP from the DOH as well. And here we have some pipeline in here. Although that's not very fancy, but we are really focusing on the features of stem cell. For example, the OA, the RA, the arthritis, because stem cell, the best character of a stem cell is how to heal your arthritis. And there's a lot of application approved in Hong Kong. And there's also our pipeline as well. And finally, again, what I want to do is that still, there's some slogan I always mention in all my interview. Hong Kong people with Hong Kong technology to contribute outside Hong Kong. 香港人，香港科技衝出香港。So what I want to do, the first step is that how we can contribute to Hong Kong. The first, reindustrialization. As you know, for our CE and even the science part chairman, they mentioned that they want to push to industrialization because industrialization is so important because they can, not just a slogan, but it can create a lot of jobs. They can widen the spectrum on the working career path for our teenagers, right? Because currently, we always mention that complaint, in Hong Kong, we just only can become a doctor, finance, accountant, blah, 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 blah. But the point is that we do not create some vacancy to let the choice and option for our teenagers to choose other than those professionals. So what I want to do, this is a dreamer, but I mean it. I'm passionate to do that. I want to build a real manufacturing site for biotech. And second, the lead of GBA, right? So, of course, I love GBA, but to be honest, I'm a 香港仔, right? I finished my bachelor, secondary, primary, blah, 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 all in Hong Kong. Again, I love CHK and Hong Kong STP. I always say that why we always have to follow Shenzhen, we have to follow Guangzhou. Honestly, they're so good. They progress so fast. But I still believe that we still have our core value, right? We have a lot of talent here, right? Why we cannot become one of the experts in among all the industry? And I do believe GBA, pharmaceutical, biotech, Hong Kong is still the leader, at least in coming 20 years. Of course, we compare to Shanghai, of course, we cannot compare. But just like Ricky mentioned that Wuhan, we cannot compare. But in the GBA, still, we can become a leader. I'm so confident to that. Actually, I saw a lot of bureau secretary. They always mention that, Stanley, you sure that Hong Kong become the lead? So I say, I do believe. I can see it, and I can prove it. And I want Hong Kong to become the first example to prove it. And finally, the integration of Northern Metro, I still cannot pronounce very correct, the Northern Metro in Hong Kong. Okay, some people will think just a slogan, right? But to us, and the factory, manufacturing, land, space is so important, right? You can see that in Shanghai Science Park, the rent is so high currently. But I always say, well, they have other people there, so we can, this is right? We cannot say that you have too much decrease the rent. We cannot say that. So the only way and the history is that, okay, we have to explore outside Hong Kong, outside Shanghai. And the Northern Metropolitan is so important for us to finish our dream, to create a job for the teenagers, to let Hong Kong still become the valid in the GBA. And then integration for the Metropolitan is so important. And finally, one sentence I want to share is, okay, Hong Kong region Manhattan, I'm not sure whether we can still run till the end of the road, but at least I do believe what I'm doing is so important, not just me, not just for me, not just for my investor, not just for my colleague, but I do believe this for the next generation of our teenagers, for the next generation of Hong Kong in the coming GBA situation. So thank you so much for letting me giving some time to share my dream and some of my journey for Hong Kong region Biotech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. C. We can totally feel your passion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can totally feel the passion, and let's continue to write the Hong Kong success story together. Thank you so much. Next, we would like to welcome on stage Dr. Frank Poon, head of the Hong Kong office in Silico Medicine, to share with us AI-driven target identification for drug development. Let's welcome Dr. Poon.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. First of all, testing. Okay. First of all, thank you very much for the InvestHK for organizing this event. Yes. I'm really happy to share the AI-driven target discovery to you all today. So InSilico is a very unique company, especially in Hong Kong, because we all know that in Hong Kong we have many great diagnostic companies, yes. But we are focusing on the drug development and discovery, yes. So we are very unique in here. So first, I would like to give a brief introductions of our company. So basically, we are the AI drug discovery company founded in 2014. And then now we have over 200 employees already. Most of them are the AI scientists and the drug hunters. Now we are headquartered in Hong Kong. So, but we are global companies. We have operation centers all over the world. So far, we already raised more than 300 million US dollars since 2014. So our core technology is we use the generative adversarial networks to do the drug discovery together with the deep reinforcement learning. Well, actually, we are the first one to apply the GANs for the drug discovery, and so far we already published over 150 peer-reviewed papers. Well, our product is focusing on how to use AI to speed up the drug discovery. For example, we are specialized in target discovery using multi-omics data. At the same time, we use our chemistry 42 engines to help to design the novel molecules for tackle different targets. At the same time, we also have the clinical programs to better help us to design the clinical trials and predict the outcome. And we have a very good receptions in the industry. For example, we are selected as the MIT Technology Review as the one have the fastest drug discovery platforms that exist today. So as you can see here, now we are the global clinical stage biotech company. And we have operation centers all over the world. For example, in San Francisco, New York, Montreal, UAE, Hong Kong, Taipei, Shanghai, and Suzhou as well. So we value the patience, innovations, and transparency. So basically, we are very, as I mentioned, we are unique in the markets because we fully integrated the AI with our pharma AI platform together with our 30th partner program. So now with our very strong AI team, so our AI team will provide the novel target ID, at the same time the novel molecules, as well as the clinical trial design and predictions to give suggestions to our R&D team, the drug discovery team. And then at the same time, the drug discovery and CRO management team will give the experimental data and their expertise suggestions on the new data. So that's why we can fully integrate with each other to have biggest synergy effect. So far, we have been very well supported by the investors. All of them come from the leading AI, biopharma, and tech investors. I guess you can see there are many big names here as well. So far, we raised over $380 million to date. So I would like to talk more about our industry. So we try to transform to improve the efficiency of the traditional drug discovery, because the traditional way of drug discovery usually takes more than 10 years and more than $1 billion for every drug launched into the market. So why it is so inefficient? Because I guess the very low successful rate in the phase 2 is a major problem. So one of the reasons is that there are inadequate choices of the targets. Okay, also the compound itself is not very good. So in that case, in 2020s, we try to think how we can use the AI to, let's say, to link the biology and chemistry together. Let's say we can come up with novel molecules, novel targets to help the patients. So in that case, we want to build a fully integrated AI platforms to help the drug discovery. So that's why we developed the Pharma AI. So in Pharma AI, it is a fully integrated end-to-end AI platform to help the drug discovery. The first step is the pandomics, and this one is actually led by our Hong Kong team as well. So we can use the multi-omics data to do the omic analysis. At the same time, the most important is that we can do the target discovery. So once we identify the targets, then the next we can use our chemistry 42 engines to tackle that targets with the de novo drug design. This is very important because we are not only screening the molecules. And then last, we use in clinical that can help us to better design the clinical trials and more important to predict the clinical outcome. For example, do some forecasts for the efficacy, the safety, something like that. Yeah. So, and then in last year, should be February, we have a very good example. That is our program 1, ISM 001, the IPF program, entered the IND enabling stage in less than 18 months by using our Pharma AI platforms to design, to find a novel targets for the IPF, and at the same time design a novel small molecules to tackle that one. Okay, so as you can see, by the traditional methods, it usually takes more than 5 years and over $6 million. But with our Pharma AI platforms, we find a novel target and design novel molecules. It takes us only less than 18 months, okay, to enter the IND enabling stage. So it is a historical breakthrough in our industry. And in the next several months, now our IPF already entered the phase 1, okay? So altogether, it only takes us less than 30 months to enter the phase 1. So it is industry record as well. So IPF is only the first program, okay? So in the last 1.5 years, we altogether announced 8 preclinical candidates. And these candidates across from different kind of diseases. For example, we have the kidney diseases, cancers, some immunologies, and the last one is the COVID-19. So for these COVID-19 programs, we designed novel molecules to tackle the 3CL. Okay, so so far the result is very good, and hopefully we can have a better or alternative drugs for the treatment of COVID-19. Yes, because I don't think it is totally preventable simply by the vaccines. So that's what we are doing now. Okay, so altogether, so maybe you are interested how our pharma AI can help the drug discovery. So basically, our pharma AI platforms have a very comprehensive data source. For example, in terms of the omic database, we have more than 10 million omic samples, and these samples come from different types. For example, the transcriptomics, we have the microarray RNA-seq, and also the methomics data, proteomics data. And we are integrating more single-cell data into our platform as well. And then for the chemistry side, we have over 1 billion structures, which is predicted with the experimentally measured properties. And then for the text database, we not only include the research paper, let's say from PubMed, but we also think that, let's say, the patents and also the clinical trial information as well as the funding reports is also very important. So that's why we also include those data as well to help us to better find out the targets. Well, I guess many people will ask, so where is our AI components? Yes, as you know, we are the real leaders in the AI drug discovery commonly, yes. So basically, the AI can be found in 3 areas. First one is the text mining. We use the AI NLP to help us to identify the genes, diseases, compounds, and their relations in the text. And the next, I think the most important part is that we use many AI-driven graph-based models to help us to rank the target disease to find out their relationship, okay? And the last, AI is also used to help us to better analyze the trends, for example, the initiation of the phase 1 trials. Okay. Well, so this slide will give you a very comprehensive overview of our pandemics. So in pandemics, first of all, we need to identify the genes that is highly associated with a particular indications that you are interested. So in the past, how we can do that? We, I guess, 99% we rely on the academic, the very professional professors of a particular disease areas, okay? They do the many research, okay? But in pandemic, we think we should have a more comprehensive approach. So in that case, we have over 20 AI and bioinformatics models. So on the right-hand side, you can see some very conventional names. For example, the text-based AI scores, where the attentions, the trends, and the KOL scores, the impact factor of the journals, okay, we count this, as well as the financial report as well. And then on the upper left-hand side, you can see the omics AI scores. The most important part is that we are not only just build a database that is we only rely on the text data, what happened in the past, but we also want to use some real-time analysis. Okay, for example, most of these AI scores are calculated in real time and based on the data set input into the system. For example, this model includes a different variety of data source, genetics, expression, methylation, proteomics data as well. And some of the model have a very strong AI component. For example, the matrix factorization and the heterogeneous graph models. Okay, they have a very strong AI component in there. And then altogether, the system will provide us a list of the targets, so for a particular disease. And then we can apply different druggability filters, different druggable class, developmental level to find out the targets we want. So that's why we found the target. So, I will give an example here. For example, here is the one example, the interactive community model. So this model, we try to collect all the proteins and omics and the text mining data for particular genes, and then try to connect them with specific indications. And then we try to connect them in a single bipartite graph. And then in that case, we try to use the pair embeddings, and then we use the multi-layer perceptions, which is artificial neural networks, to decode their relationship, so that for each of the genes, we can have a scores for their ranking for that particular indication. So it is only just one of the model, okay? And then next, as I mentioned, we need to test whether this model can really help us to find out the novel targets. So in that case, we have the time machine validation approach. So what it's trying to do is that, let's say we have a cutoff time, let's say 2010, and then we test their models by only collecting the data before 2010 and input into that model to try to use that model to generate the novel targets, let's say coming out into the next several years, 2012, 2013. So let's say if the model very well predicts 20 targets, and then 18 of them coming out into the market in the next several years, it means that model performed very well. Otherwise, we just further improve the model. So this is the time validation approach we use. So overall, we have several uniqueness. For example, we have a very comprehensive database for the target discovery. At the same time, we use time machine validation approach. As I mentioned, we cannot predict the future, but with the back test, we can somehow prove that our model can really generate some truly novel target hypothesis. And last but not least, that is, as I mentioned, most of these AI models are calculate the scores in real time. It really based on the data set we input onto the system. So it is not only a database, but a real-time analysis. Well, over the years, we published many papers built on our target discovery platform. And recently, my team published two papers. One is the aging paper. That is, we focus on the aging targets. So why we do that is because we truly believe aging is the driving force for most, if not all, of the diseases, because usually the kids have seldom disease, right? And most of the cancer develop at the age of starting from 40. So finding the dual purpose target, the good point is that even the target itself is not the best for particular indications, but still the target can tackle aging. So in that case, the patient can still get benefits from that. So in this paper, we showcase how pantomics can help us to do the target discovery in a very cost-effective and time-efficient manner. Yeah. And other very more important paper we just published it 2 months ago. Yeah, that is in that one we collaborate with the biggest player, Answer ARS, in the field. At the same time with the Johns Hopkins University and Harvard University. And the experiment was done by Mayo Clinics. So the beauty of this project is that we further validate our targets with their in vitro fry model. So basically, our project design is that we chose the ALS, yes, are very important lethal diseases. And then we try to collect all the publicly available data set with our platforms. And then we integrate with the proprietary iPSC data set from the Answer ALS. And then we just combine everything together with the pandomics, just a few clicks, and then you can definitely integrate them together. We can do the DEG analysis, pathway analysis, target ID, and then we find out some novel targets for new drug discovery. At the same time, we can find out some drugs, target with available drugs to do the drug repurposing. And then later, with just try to validate these targets in the dry eye model. So basically, the C9 ALS drosophila model is try to mix the ALS patients' neurodegenerations. So if they carry these genes, the mutants, they will have eye degeneration. This is, you can see in the middle, the score 0. So we try to use RNAi to inhibit these genes that we proposed by our system. And then in just one paper, we reported 8 unreported genes. Yes, altogether, as you can see, the very impressive results. By inhibiting the target proposed by Pandomics, you can see that there is a very strong residues of the neurodegenerations in those mutant for eye. So it is a very impressive result. And then the same result we also published in the ALS AI as well. Okay, so this is how we use our Pandomics to use the latest AI algorithms to help us to predict the target, especially for some rare and very lethal diseases. Okay. So lastly but not least, we are going to launch the Pharma AI in next month. So you're very welcome to register for this webinar. So in this Pharma AI platforms, you will see our Pandomic 3.0 versions with many upgraded new features. At the same time, the Chemistry 42 is also upgraded to 2.0. And this is also the first time for us to launch the in-clinical program. So the in-clinical, as I mentioned, it can help us to predict the clinical outcome, to do the safety, and also the efficacy forecast. So it is a very important event for us. So just feel free to register. Okay. So if you want to know more about our AI platform, so just feel free to contact me. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Poon. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. Once again, a big thank you to all the distinguished guests and our speakers for their insights, and of course for all the participants joining us this morning. So ladies and gentlemen, this has come to an end of our morning program. We hope that it has been a fruitful morning for everyone. If you require any information, please feel free to contact the team of Invest Hong Kong. We'll have more fabulous programs in the afternoon, and we'll see you after lunch. Thank you.